Joseph Curry here, and welcome to my story. Today we'll be doing the part 4 of this book, How to Beat the Bullying Without Really Trying. I read chapter 9 through 11 and 12 of this book. And so we begin the 13th chapter of this book, How to Beat the Bully Without Really Trying, of the part 4. Let's begin. Chapter 13, A Tight Squirrel. For the remainder of the holiday break, I was in a nervous break. For the remainder of the holiday break, I was in a nervous wreck. Walker Wallabone was heading west. I didn't know when, and it might be over a month away, but he was coming. It was like an upholstered storm I couldn't stop. He knew who I really was. When he got here, he got right back to beating me up. Of course, as soon as he did, Josh and Toby would join in. Then, seeing what a true wimp I am, other kids will want to get in on the fun. My life will be filled of bruises and pain, and the danger is that my friends wouldn't want to hang out with the big funny named Whitey Backbone. And any chance of landing a cute blonde girlfriend will be lost for good. I pleaded with my mom to tell them not to come, but she merely said, "Don't be silly, Whitey. You always play so nicely together when you were younger. Remember when you used to play Marco Polo at the Putler's pool? Yeah, I remember. Every time he caught me, he had my head underwater. What an imagination you had, Mama. I still have water in my left car. Ronnie, you're going to be late for school. Just think, you'll be able to introduce Walker to everyone." She was so excited to have one of her friends from her old neighborhood coming to visit that she couldn't listen to sense. I decided to try my dad. "Can't you speak to Mom for me?" I pleaded. He took a deep breath and answered, "Riley, one day when you marry, you realize wives really listen to their husbands. I'm afraid we stuck with your mother's choice in friends. You get this creepy Walker, and I get Fred Rainbagger. But Fred Rainbagger doesn't get your vendors. You might profit a reason to a 2-hour life insurance and conversation. Dad, Riley, you handled some tough chapters this year. I've been proud of you, and I'm sure this Walker's going to meet his match too. Now it's nice to have a dad who's proud of you, but I wonder how proud he'll be after I get pounded to a pump by half the town." The only good news was that Walker and his family wouldn't be here for a while. As I walked into school the first day back, I realized the other kids didn't know about my private problems. All they could talk about was my flight off the river of doom. And it wasn't just because they had seen in the person a father who had been their family, his 5-year-old twins, had held some shouts, had turned his camera in my direction, and had captured the most of the amazing trips on video. A week later, it had made its way to YouTube and was now one of the most popular videos. Yes, that generated my celebrity status was at an all-time high, and when it did wonders to help me forget about Walker, it didn't do much to impress the one person of hope It would. Jessica. As I tried to talk to her, I could see that she was okay with me, but it felt like her mind was on something, or someone else. Maybe it was just the time of year. The dreaminess of winter had settled us on us. The weather was bad when we were stuck inside during the recess. To make matters worse, each time my big mouth got me in trouble, I would have to spend recess alone with Mr. Lushcrun, watching her eating disgusting scratchy sandwiches and slobbering soup, all followed by her on one tree, chocolates. The woman loved chocolate. The first time I saw her eat any, I thought she was fainting. She smoothed and kind of shook for a second, smiled, and closed her eyes. As soon as the chocolates were gone, her face wore again the nasty look I come to know and despise. There was nothing pleasant about Mr. Loscron or her dad or the classroom. It became darker and sadder with each cold January day. It was during one particular long, depressing afternoon that she surprised us. I decided to put on a playlist year. We're all set up. You know, I was quite the actress in my longer years. Yeah, bet she was a great Medusa, I whispered to Bessie. She turned in all directions, rushing and I stared straight ahead. It was Samantha who broke the silence. Are we doing High School Musician? Mr. Lutschkrop took a deep breath. No, Samantha, we are doing a real play. We will be putting on Wobblyhood. The class broke into a discussion, and Miss Lutschkrop glared us back into silence. Now, if I may continue, I already decided on the parts. Jessica, not surprisingly, will be all Mellow. Colonel will be the evil witch, which also made sense to me. Russia was cast as the sheriff of Nottingham one of the villains. They got the part of Will Shatler, one of the merry men. Toby was told he would be fair Tuck. He sat there scowling, but he was always scowling, and I couldn't tell from his reaction whether he liked his role or not. What about me? Slim asked exactly. I, I did get a part. I had decided to give you that part of Little John, but Miss Lunchcrunch, I'm not little. Slim knows over. Priscilla Tiffany. It's called Owlie. Oh, it's much fun to have the part of Little John playing by someone big and plump. I watched the smile from his face as he slumped down in his chair. Then I felt that familiar tingle on my tongue. Miss Lunchcrunch, maybe you should be the witch, I mumbled. My mind had died again. The whole class went silent. I knew she was about to order me to sit wishes with her, but what came next was far worse. It felt like a punch in the stomach. She locked eyes with me, gave me a wicked smile, and announced it. Greg will play the role of Robin Hood. Then, to Greg, she asked, are you sure you can handle it? After all, you are the play's hero at the end. You slay the evil guy or Gaspon and kiss and kiss Jessica. I mean, May Miller. What? I look over at Greg. He was smiling and definitely seemed like he could handle it. Greg, he had just moved here from California and started at barber soon after the winter break. He was a perfect Robin Hood. Darn it, he was tall, athletic, and the girls all seemed to think he was good looking lately. I had gotten the feeling that Jessica liked him better than me. To my adding along, I could see Jessica blushing and smile back at him. Well, Greg, Miss Lunchcrumb asked again. No problem, Miss L. He replied, his older voice, his only voice smooth and confident. I can handle kissing Miss Marlowe. Exactly. Greg, she said with a sideways look in my direction. I noticed Jessica turned dark and red, but her smile reminded her I wanted to jump out the window. Wonderful. Oh, and Greg, yes, you also would have to kill Ronnie. I showed her. The words kill and Ronnie in the senses, same sentence didn't do wonders for my disgusted assistant. Riley would play Gal Ghostbone. A smile spread across her face as she glances my way and added, he'll need to die in the end. Suddenly my heart began racing, but not because I thought Miss Longcroft really wanted me dead. She had absolutely something far worse I was going to be playing in a chapter. I would have to speak lines in front of everyone. One of the biggest fears. Besides, bullies, basements, scary movies, and 100 other things is standing up in front of the people and talking. Once, in New York, I pretended I was sick for a whole week just to get out of reading my book reported to the class. And just when I thought things couldn't get worse, they did. Miss Lonscroft began Miss Lonscroft began to show a PowerPoint presentation of another Robin Hood production she had done 3 years ago. As she fielded it over the mouse and photo of some merry man walking on the stage apparently. The costumes were ridiculous. They had hoods and something that looked like short rubies. Rubies. Short wolves. But worst of all, these merry men were wearing long yellow tights. I was thinking how bad I felt for that group. Up there dressing in pantyhose, and when I was struck by the unknown thought I was going to be in the same play. Not only did I have to worry about throwing up on the diners when I opened my mouth to speak, but that two cold went up wearing tights. Just as this began to sink in, I saw a scene between Robin Hood and the guy sure to be the guy or Gisbone drilled onto the scene. It was even worse than amazing. His tights were pearl blue. And quickly I looked over and saw Slim smiling to himself. Evidently, he hadn't figured it out yet. Dave, however, sat with a look of horror on his face. He raised his hand. Yes, Dave. Miss Lunchcroft, Miss Lunchcroft asked him clearly. Anyone having her presentation interrupted? Miss Lunchcroft, we don't have to wear stockings like them, do we? He asked. They were not wearing stockings. They are not wearing stockings. They are wearing athletic tights from the age. That was the look in the medieval time period. We were all played to be visually stunning and generally. So, yes, you will be wearing them. She went back and to clicking and smiling to herself as she looked at the pictures, not noticed the looks were changing. The only boy smiling was Toby. A person on the scene showed a kid pretending to be Fairtruck. He wore a long brown mock robe and if he was wearing tights, they weren't visible. Our first truck looked over at me, winking, and then raised his hand. Yes, where is it now, Miss Lunchcrunch? Asking. Toby turned to her. My dad has a video camera. I could probably get him to film the whole play. Miss Lunchcrunch looked through for. I think that would be a very good thing to do. I'll speak to you about that later. As she spoke, Toby passed me a note. I read it and glared at her. Is there a problem, Ronnie? Miss Lunchcrunch snapped. Toby had only written one little word, but it was enough to make me panic. The note read, "You two." It was too much for my brain to handle. I'll be walking around in tights on the internet for the whole world to see. 500,000 people have watched me barely fly off a cliff on my sleigh. Now, thanks to Toby, there will be chancing. Check out Slay's Boys Tights. A blonde Miss Lunchcrunch. You can you can't really expect us to wear those outfits. I believe, Bonnie, that I already explained about the name for a medieval horse. And since you seem to have difficult grasping the concept, not to mention every other one, you can join me for lunch today and I explain it to you again. Chapter 14. Dodging Marshmallows. Later that day on the bus home, Toby was all smiles. He stood up in the hour and said, you, Balmerine's going to dance for us. He laughed and went to high five Josh. He sat looking at him with a blank and knowing expression. You know, ballerines, Toby continued. Dancers, Josh. Just seen. Toby went back to his seat. His intention put down was no reminder of our problem. Kids from all grades were giggling. During, during lunch, while I dined with Miss Lunchcrunch, news of Wobblehead and the merry reps spread throughout the school. My friends and I were in trouble, knocking at Josh, terrorizing the McDucks. They feared the ghost of old man Johnson, and in epic flight off the Raven of Doom will all be wiped away the second I walk on stage in my costume. I was reflecting on this problem when Caroline turned my attention to a different crisis. Did you hear? Ronnie, she asked, leaning over me in an hour. Greg asked Jessica to go back to his house to practice their lines. What? I couldn't believe it. They don't even have many lines. She's imposing that for most of the play. Caroline smiled, enjoying it. Yeah, you're right. But they do have one very important scene together. You heard Miss Lunchcrunch? It has to be convincing. Greg thinks it'd be a good idea to practice. I thought my head was going to explode cause Spunk winning. Then she's spying the boy sitting next to me and her expression changed. Dave, we should ask Miss Lunchcrunch if we can be standing in for Millers and Wobblehead. Dave shifted uncomfortably in his seat and asked nasally, what's that standing? Like, that back us. You know, just in case Jessica and Gray are sick or something, or just in case Jessica and Gray are sick or something. Anyway, we should practice that parts to be ready. Ah, they mumbled. Great. Carol smiled as she heading back over to Samantha. I'll come by your house at 4:30. They whispered to me. Can you come over to your house at 4:20? I heard his words, but my brain was still spinning from the thoughts of Greg's practice sessions. By the next day, things had gotten even worse. At races, which I was allowed to attend, working together and discussing the problem. No one waits to do the performances. My mistress or Toby's note put down into a real panic. We have to do something, Slim piping up. This was meant by a anonymous agreement. But what? They asked, which brought on a nervous silence. Gradually, their eyes sharpened in my direction. They continued. Well, Whiny, what should we do? How, how should I know? I asked. You know something? Slim added. You always do. Me? I'm not the brains of the group. Russ is the only that always thinks up what to do next. True, I am Bill, the ideal guy. Russ agreed. That's why I'm not at all worried about this situation. Dave smiled for the first time in 2 days, and Slim let out a sigh. I'm not worried because I know Riley will figure something out. Dave and Slim nodded in agreement. Sometimes I wanted to bang their heads together. Why are you guys worried about yourselves? I looked up and saw Greg holding his lunch tray. We're really lucky to be putting on the play. Here's playing. It beats long duration and advances. Slim snap. Did you see this slice? Mr. Hood, you're going to be in tights too. So what? I got nice legs. Besides, the girls are excited to see us really in them. Jessica told me this morning that she couldn't wait to see me in the dress rehearsal. Anyway, I'll see you guys there. Oh yeah. Here's Sam here exclaiming and looking at the other end of the table. Thanks. Toby, for offering to give me a copy of the video. No problem, Greg, Toby answered, looking at me with a slight smile. I wanted to pair the two of them with today's chicken nuggets. By the time I got to gym class, I was so jealous that I actually confronted Jessica. We were playing with my old school and had called dodgeball. Back Barbara it was named Happy Marshmallow Ball because the government here had outlawed dodgeball. It never made sense to me, especially since both games use the same red playground balls. I walk over to Jessica and whisper, what are you doing with Greg? Jessica dodged in a happy marshmallow. What do you mean? And why are you so weird? Or why are you so weird? You know, those pistol practice sessions. What are you doing at his house? Well, he actually came over to my house. He only came over once. That made me feel a little better, but not much. One question still bothering my brain. I wanted to play it cool, but it couldn't. But what exactly did you practice? Jessica smiled and asked, why should it matter to you? She had me there. I tried to decide if I should tell her that I like her. I began to open my mouth, but she spoke first. He wanted to practice the kiss scene, but my dad saw him and sent him home. Greatly revealed. Greatly relieved. I told her the truth. Lord Dad sounds like a great guy. Jessica laughed. He is. It looks like I'll only be kissing Greg during the dress rehearsal. Just as my brain wrestled with that one, a happy marshmallow smashed me right in the face. Chapter 15. Sweet Revenge. The next, the day of the play was Friday, February 14th. Not only was it Valentine's Day, it was the day before President's Week. Normally, it's a pretty darn good time because we get off from school to celebrate Washington and Lincoln. There was nothing good about it this year, with all my vociferous problems raging on me. I grew more and more depressing as they got closer. Not only was I worried about wearing tights and afraid I would lose Jessica to Greg, but I have found out that Walker and his family were arriving any day. On Thursday, February the 4th, on Thursday, February the 13th, we had a dress rehearsal. It was awful. The tights looked more ridiculous, imposing than they had in the pictures. Farrah thought it was a hesitancy, and throughout the action we heard him snickering into himself. We were at hope, and thus Mr. Lunchgrunt criticized our acting. She thought the tapes looked great. Toby wasn't alone in his enjoyment. Gray stumbled around in his green outfit, and Kara, dressed like an evil witch, chasing Will Scholar between scenes trying to pinch his legs. I felt like running off stage. The one bright spot was that Gray had to leave early to go to the dentist, sparing me from witnesses 2 days of kissing Jessica. I'm here kissing Jessica. Upon arriving home that day, I was met by the whirlwind, otherwise known as my great aunt Evelyn. I didn't know she was coming. In fact, none of us did. That's what she did. She ripped into town on a whip and everything instantly revolving in it around her. She was a lot of fun, but in my funk, she really had to work to get me going. That's my darling nephew. She is cleaning as I opened the front door. Aunt Ellen, what are you doing here? I asked. I hear you are now a big actor, and I came to see the performance tomorrow. I looked over at my mom, who smiled at her aunt and me. I followed. I really don't want to be in the play. We had to wear these awful tights, and anyone will make fun of us. I complained. My aunt smiled and turned to me. Edward, friend, wool tights, riding you'll be great, and I have something for you. She's swooping into the dining room, and I stumbled behind, wondering who Edward friend was. She pulled out a big red, hot shopping box. You got me clothes. You got me chocolates, I asked. Ronnie, this box of chocolates comes all the way from Brussels, where I was visiting the princess. Brussels, Brussels, in the capital of England. By the way, and Ronnie, you may not know this, but they make some of the best chocolate in the world there. This box is popular and has the finest, richest chocolate money can buy. It will make any girl faint from happiness when it touches her lips. So I bought it for you to give. Your mom let me know there's a little girl that you'll fancy. I be dating her and glances back at my mom, who looked away. I can't bring that to school. The other. Hush, my great aunt said. gently putting her finger on my lips. Whitey, you can bring it. Trust your aunt. She knows what's good for you. Thanks. Evelyn, but I think she might like another boy. All the more reason to get it to her then. One bite and she'll melt. Now, enough talk. Let's mullerball. Let's ball. Huh? I'd ask. Whitey, it's time to teach you one of the world's best dances, she said, grabbing him by me by the shoulders, pressing play on the stair and dragging me to the center of the living room. Now we're in ball, and we did, and it was fun. And for a little while, forgot about Walker, Jessica, Tights, Greg, and YouTube. Aunt Ellen did a good job of keeping my mind from the opposing physical, but warning every chance we came. And we had dread. I was out for school with a heavy heart and backpack full of chocolates. In the back of Miss Lunchcrunch's class, when taking out all books, Aunt Evelyn's box of chocolates caught Slim's eye. What's that, Whitey? It asked, pointing at the box. It was large and took up most of the room in my pack. I was still debating if I was really going to get it to Jessica. But now it was noted, and Toby was always one to jump on a situation. Oh, who's your Valentine, Whitey? He asked, grabbing it and holding it to his chest. It is Russie. I snatched it back and felt my cheeks breathing in it. I met Jessica's eye. She looked down at the box. Other students had gathered and were looking at me holding it in the box. My mouth felt dry and my knees started to shake slightly. I had to make a decision. I decided to. What's all this commotion? Miss Lunchcrunch snapped. Eyeing the box in my hands, I thought I saw her lick her lips for a second as she held out her hand. This is causing quite a dispersion. I hold on to it for safekeeping and I didn't know what to say as she snatching Aunt Ellen's chocolate from me. I was confused, embarrassed, and mad. An already bad day had just gotten worse. I had to play wasn't even scheduled until 2 p.m. Eastern. At lunch, everyone started packing and began eating with Dave. What are you going to do? He screamed. I can't handle another day of wearing tights around Caroline. We got to do something, Wesley shouted. Whitey, you must have an idea. Toby interrupted with us with. He's got nothing. You boys are going to be the joke of the school. It's going to be, he continued on and on. But I stopped listening. Instead, I was thinking that we'll have to make one last appeal to Miss Lunchcrunch if I explain our position. Maybe, just maybe, she might listen. I doubted I was to see, but I also figured that if I ever known her enough, she might kick me out of the performance. I stood up and everyone at the lunch table stopped what they were doing, and looked in my direction. I think I know how to save us. They were all silent as I headed out of the cafeteria. The others, as usually, were too busy talking to even notice me. I triggered up the stairs and down the silent, empty hall to my class. I'm peering in. Miss Lunchcrunch was there at her desk, all right, but the sight shocked me. She was holding her stomach and mourning. Empty chocolate wrappers literally on her desk, and covered the floor. It seems as if she had brown lipstick smiling crazily all around her mouth. Her eyes flooded and were shining and, and a quiver of her head fell forward and came to the rest of the top of big red. Very friendly, looking heart-shaped chocolate box. I was about to approach her to make sure she was all right, but then she rumbled her stomach and moaned. I ran to get Mr. Freebertop. I found him in his office busy counting the baseball cards. After explaining what I had just witnessed, he thanked me for getting him. Before handing it off with the notes, he turned back and looked like he was struggling to find the right words. This could be very embarrassing for Miss Longcroft. He began before he can go on. I said, "Don't worry, I won't tell anyone." He was greatly relieved. "Thanks, Ronnie," he said with a smile. "I owe you one." "Well, Miss Flibbertop, if that's how you feel, there's something you can do." "Oh, what's that, Ronnie?" "We see. We will see." "Will you see?" Mr. Flibbertop. When I got back to Resis, the was still too busy talking to notice me, and I soon found my friends. They immediately gathered around me and demanded to know what had happened. Before I can tell them, Long Nose blew the whistle and we lined up. We stood there silently, forbidding to talk, and well, not really me, we were surprised after a while to see Mr. Philotop come out to pick us up. We trailed him in the park and saw the boys look at me clueless. No one knew what was going on as we entered our classroom and sat down. Miss Philotop wanted for everyone to settle glazily at the Cosdano, who was busy sweeping something up and cleared his throat. Miss Longcroft had to leave school for the day. It's rather sad, being that today is the day of the big performances, but she'll be all right. "What happened, Mr. Freebertop?" Jessica asked. "Well, Long Lady, let's just say she had to leave for the day." Now all the boys were looking at me. A couple of them absolutely looked scared. Rusty's eyes were bugging out of his head, and Toby looked at me dumbstruck, his ugly mouth hanging over even wider than usual. Miss Flibbertop continued, "We cannot postpone the play. Since all the parents have already begun to arrive, I'll be happy in Miss Longcroft's absence. The show must go on without her." I coughed. "Oh yes, one more thing. I'll be talking about the final scene with Mayor Miller and Bobby Hood. I think kissing at the school performances is important. I think it would be better if after we circulated Mayor Miller, Bobby Hood gives her a nice handshake. But Mr. Fribbletop grinned bluntly. "I made my decision, long man. A handshake, and that's it." I'll cough again. "Oh, and it seems the play is running a bit long, so I had decided to eliminate the speech by a clock Goswell at the end." "Oh, that's Gal Grinspoon," I correct him. "Oh, yes, okay. Anyway, oh, that's fine with you, Whitey." I flashed a brief look of the disappointment but told him I understood. When it looked as though he was finished talking, I caught his eye and coughed one last time, even louder than before. Oh yes, it has come to my attention that there is a problem with sundown teen uniforms. Costumes. Thank you, Whitey. Yes, costumes. It seems the tights that you are supposed to wear are a bit too small. I hope you don't mind. But I am suggesting that you wear your jeans instead. The boys in the class broke into a shouting and jumping up, except, of course, for Toby. Mr. Fribbletop then led us down to the stage where the other boys gathered around me. I knew you'd do it, Wesley spoke for them all. But how did you do it? You? How? You know? Wesley? I answered, let's just say I had my ways and I didn't at all embody it. This lowered down created stories to explain what had happened. Whatever I had done was beyond their imaginations. The performances turned out to be a hit, and most of my male classmates were forever grateful to me. One who wasn't happy was a very grumpy fair-tailed truck. He did a lousy job of delivering up to the eternal merry man. I was escalated, especially as I watched a gloomy wobbly who gave me man melon at the jet to the handshake. Afterwards, Jessica came over to me. Well, it's over. Find out how things turned out. What do you mean? I asked. A handshake. You really something wanting Rambone. She is laughing at and reaching it out and gave me a handshake. Save me, Ronnie. They went by his wits hot in pursuit, looking for the Valentine's Day handshake of her own. Later that night, Aunt Evelyn insisted on taking our family out for a big dining to celebrate. She kept saying that the performances revealed everything she had seen in all the great threats of Europe. At one point, while waiting for the other appetizers, she leaned over to me and asked, "So, were the chocolates a hit? Were the chocolates a hit?" I smiled and answered, "Yes, Aunt Evelyn. They criminally well. I guess you could say that they stole the show." She smiled back and I felt great. It had been some day. I was even acting nice to Penny. We were all having a good time, except my mother. It looked like she had something bad to say. As soon as all realities cleared the dining plates, I wasn't surprised to hear my mom announcing, "I'm afraid I have some disappointing news. There's no dessert." My father asked, looking alarmed. My mother continued, "Why, this concerns you. What's the matter?" I got a call today from Mr. Roberts Warrenborner. My stomach tiny, yeah. The Warrenbonners won't be coming out this week. It seems they all come down with the Helena flu. It's worse than either the swine flu or bull flu. Poor Walker is real sick. How awful. I say, put on a freight and voice. I did my best to fight off the smile, then threatening to crack the side of my lips. My mom nodded her head slightly and said, "I can see this has really upset you, Ronnie. Don't worry, though. Miss Warrenbone said they're rescheduling the trip. And do you know what else?" I shook my head, feeling what she said next. "Walker wanted his mom to give you a special message. He said he can't wait to come for you. That he's looking forward to make up for lost time. He said, you understand? He said you understand. I understood all right. I squatted in my seat, dealing at those razors that were heading in my way. Chapter 16. The Boundary. Following President's break, Miss Lunsford never mentioned the chakras on the first fact that wore jeans under the walls. All she said was that in the February complaining the show, and then she dropped the subject. I figured she was embarrassing about her feeling freezing and wanted to move on. And we did. In no time at all. We were right back to our number. Boiling in the classroom watered. It gave me plenty of time to worry about the Warbon's trip. But at least everything in Ohio was pretty much business as usual for the next few weeks. Until I began to notice little things that bothered me. For instance, there was one day in early March when it was warm enough for us to go outside for races. I was playing basketball and chased down a loose ball. Out in the corner of my eye, I saw Josh shoving some kid around the field. I pretended not to notice. Later that week, everyone was talking about Josh concerning a kid in the hallway and demanding his lunch money. Suddenly, my chicken sense kicking in. Things were changing. Josh was back to his brilliant self. Not even I was around, but he was starting to feel comfortable, and that could only spell trouble for me. Trouble came knocking 2 days later. I was home lying on the couch. That morning I had woke up watching a stomach ache after worrying about Josh and Walco all night and convincing my mom to let me stay home. Besides, a day on the couch was a lot better than even a few minutes with Miss Lunchcron. That is, until there was a knock on the door at around 4:30. My mom answered it. "Hi, Miss Wilbone. Can we see Ronnie?" It was Ricey's voice. "Ricey, Ronnie's been sick. Maybe tomorrow." "Miss Wilbone, thanks for letting us in. It's really important." My mom just signed and walked away at last. My three friends barreling into the living room. "You feeling better, Ronnie?" "A little." The truth is that my stomach ache had disappeared as soon as my mom had said I could stay home. "That's good, 'cause we need you back at school," Wes went on. "Why? Does Miss Lunchcrump miss me?" I joked. "No. Josh is acting up really bad," Wes answered seriously. Just then my father came in from work. "Who's acting up?" he asked, taking off his coat. "This Billy, Josh. Today he's even took our back seats on the bus." Yeah, and he called me fallible, slim, really. My father asked, "Ronnie, is it Josh the kid you knocked out on the first day of school?" "That's the one," Weston answered for me. My stomach ache was returning. "So you coming back tomorrow?" Wesley continued. "Well, this stomach of mine is better," my dad interrupted. "He'll be on the bus tomorrow. If there's one thing my son is a coward." "You got that right, Mr. Ratbone." They agreed. I don't know what we'll be without him. I just grunted and rolled over. The next day my friends made me join down in the back of the bus. When John's climbing aboard, Weston was waiting for him. "Where are you sitting today?" John's glaring back at him, but he notices me sitting there, and when I try hard not to pull the emergency lens and jump out the back door, he evidently sat down in the middle. That's what I thought. Weston yelled. Great. Josh was already getting itsy. The last thing I needed was Wesley egging him on. My brain was estimating a crisis board, and it wasn't long before the rest of my body followed. By the time I got into class, my stomach was rumbling pretty bad. Crunch tightened in my lower stomach. I could feel grueling and pressure building in it. It was all I could do to keep from farting. I sat there instantly and clenching and pointing and nothing sneaking out to far inclines will lead to weeks, no months, maybe even years or jokes. The one map inquired I did understand was that a thought minus funny. A thought minus funny. But not for the person who lets one slip while each passing through a jaw's beating in my face to a plump. The chance of me passing any guys increasing and Miss Lunchcrunch didn't let us lose the restroom. She told us there was time before school, during lunch, and after school. Emergencies, according to her, were the result of bad planning and therefore didn't really exist in her mind. Art was coming up, so I bit down on my parasol and held on. The walk to art was difficult. Rusty whispered, "What's the matter with your legs?" I must have been walking funny. Nothing. I muttered through clenching teeth. We fell into our art class and while everyone else went to sit down, I went straight out to Mr. Bowers. "I can go to the bathroom." "May? May I?" He replied. "May I go to the bathroom?" I said corrected. "Yes, you may," he answered. I zoomed out of the room and did some sort of speed duck walk to the bathroom. I passed the sinks and roll rails, went to the last of the 3 stairs, locked the door, and was about to unbutton my pants, and when I heard the boys' room door smash open. 2 voices made me temporarily forget my bathroom falls. Toby was speaking and Josh was groaning. I felt uneasy, to say the least. Despite having leaving me alone, Josh was still big and seeming to hate me with his whole heart. Helen and Toby splitting out my name made a scary situation considerably worse. "I'm telling you, Josh, why there's nothing." I caught my breath. I probably could have walked out past them, giving them a mean look, and been out of there by fools and stood quiet. "You keep saying that, but I don't see you doing everything," Josh threatened and reminded Toby. "I tried everything. I got him to go into the Methodist Lord I got." Josh interrupted him. "Yeah, Tube. I was there for most of it. How did all those things turn out?" I seem to remember the Methodists running away from him. He hid out the old man Johnson's house for like an hour, and he knows what he did to Miss Lunchcrunch that day of the play. You should have him with those dumb tights. Toby responded. "I did. It was all set. Lower tights. My dad recorded it. How was I? If he's nothing, then how he's doing all this stuff?" Josh finally asked. I was cautious too. All my attention was on their words, and I've half forgotten about my other issues. Toby said, "I mean, he's not tough. He's smart. He seems to be able." "Not tough, are you saying? I'm not tough." I heard some shuffling and what would sound like a clocking sound. No. Toby tried to speak, but something or someone was making it difficult. Finally, after some constant snips, "Hey Weezer, man, you didn't have to do that. You're the toughest here. That's my point. Gosh." Josh groaned and said, "For not being tough, he managed to break my nose and knock me out. Remember?" As he said, "Remember," it sounds like he shoved Toby into the wall. I had a headache for a month. He continued, I'm not getting hit like that again. Maybe we should try to fight him if we're so confident." There was a long sigh. That's what I thought. In listening to their conversations, I have forgotten that another part of me has something big to say, and when it came out, it would be silent, squeakle. It would be a big blast. I knew I was caught, but jumped onto the toilet to hide my legs. Who's in here? Josh screamed. I didn't say anything convincing that was finally done for what they caught me. In the star hiding, they know Toby had been right and I wasn't tough guy. What tough guy hiding in the abandoned star? Who's in here? Josh demanded a second time. Toby, look under there. Fear had me like a virus. Almost in a trance, I stopped breathing and looked at the gripping and barges and buggers on the back of the door and held my breath. There's no legs, Toby told Josh. Kick the doors open. Josh leered. Toby must have poison, for Josh continued. Out of my way, I do it. Just then I heard the force of the three stars slam open hard. The whole thing seemed to shake, and some parcel fell from the ceiling onto my head. I do the next one, Toby snapped. They were at the second star. Soon they'd be up to mine, and I'd be done for. I held the kick, but it seems as if the door hadn't operated at all. Nice kick, girlie. Well, Toby wanted defensively. I think it's locked. Oh, is it? Then I kicked that lock right off. And definite explosion shook the boundary. The door was the star next to mine potentially flew off its hinges. Luckily, wait, since this little kid's been listening to us, you've been listening. Ah, a little scared voice squeaking. That's what I thought. What should we do with this little spy, Toby? The tourist right there, Toby suggests. You know, Toby, I knew there was a reason I liked you, Josh answered. At this point, the kid, whoever he was, started crying and made a break for it. I heard him trip and fell flat to the floor, but he was up in an instant and out the door. Josh and Toby were cracking up. Hey, look! Toby laughed. Diarrhea of a weapon kid. That got down laughing even harder, just like the old times. Toby said, as the last devil. Good times, Josh answered. Times that could come again. If only someone was taken care of, Toby said, getting more serious. You're back to that now. Toby, Josh, if I can prove that Ronnie isn't all that tough, will you pawn him? Just think about how good we have it before. There was a long pause, but finally Josh replied, Toby, if we can somehow prove that, well, there's no one I'd rather hurt than Ronnie Warbone. I'll be a dream come true. They were both quiet for a minute. Then Josh added, I better get back to class. Old man, Mr. Bowles is waiting for me, too. Let's go. After a minute, the door slammed shut, leaving me in silence. It wasn't silent for long, however, with an explosion that almost shook the tiles off the walls. And finally, they were had kind therefore. I had read chapter 13 to 16. Now the part 5 is gonna come tomorrow. The story. This time story chapter 17. Until then, I'm just Crudup. I'll see you tomorrow.